Hello everyone, welcome to ETimes, and today we've got the team of Gehraiyaan with us. Joining us is director Shakun Batra and the actors Deepika Padukone, Siddhant Chaturvedi and Ananya Panday. Hello guys, welcome to ETimes. How are you guys doing?
Good,
Hi,
thank
Rajesh.
you.
Very
Good.
good. Thank you.
Alright, so I'm just going to shoot into the first question, guys. While I was watching the trailer of Gehraiyaan, so a couple of takeaways that I had was, love, fidelity, passion. But I want to know from you guys, what are the central themes of the film and what is the core message here?
I really think what we were trying to go away from is just not talk about any one specific thing and let the film be as open to interpretation. Of course, there are themes. There are themes about choices, consequences, themes about infidelity, love. But the idea is to not decide for the audience or tune them to feel a certain way. The idea is to, at the end of the film, for them to arrive at a question and they can choose to answer it whichever way they want to.
Right. I'll go to the actors Deepika, Siddhant, and Ananya. What were your personal takeaways from the film? What was that one sort of message that you personally took away? It could have been through the reading or while making.
I've said this before. I think my biggest takeaway would be to not be judgmental before, because I think before getting into this film, I had a very set idea of what a relationship should be, just because of the things that I've observed around me. But I think post this film, I've kind of opened up my horizon in terms of, okay, this is also possible, and it's a relationship is between two people to kind of define what their relationship actually is, and to kind of not have that judgmental view on things that I'm not fully aware about. So that would probably be my biggest takeaway.
My biggest takeaway would be the process, I think. Yeah. The way we, when I signed the film on paper, the story was, I was blown away by it. But no, I didn't know, and I think we all had the same feeling about, we were all a bit nervous about how would we, do something which has no reference point. But the process was so amazing that we ended up creating something really, really special. So I think the process is something I want to take, away from this film, and try to do that in my next films. To be able to spend more time with the actors, prep with them, and not just readings, not just rehearsals, but workshops. And I have a theatre background. I come from theatre. So we used to do that, so it kind of gave me a, throwback to my theatre days when, we were doing those workshops. Trust building exercises and, body language and a lot of things, and intimacy, learning about that. So a lot, we spent a lot of time together. So I think that's a very important thing in every film which we do. If that happens, the film will look great. The performances are enhanced. So yeah, that's my biggest takeaway. The process should happen with every film.
Yeah, so I've got a very specific question for you for process also, which I'll come to later on. First, let's listen to what Deepika has to say.
My takeaway is just beyond the film, which is, I think, the people that I met and the experiences that we've had. I think for me that really is the biggest takeaway. It's not often that you get to work in an environment with like-minded people, with so many like-minded people, and where everyone understands each other, everyone has a sense of humor, everyone can be self-deprecating, and I think that energy that we had amongst each other, with each other, which was just, I think a lot of that translated into the movie as well. So a lot of trust, friendship, and a lot of these things that aren't on paper, and no matter how many readings you do or how many rehearsals you do, I think that kind of energy is never really written. So I think everything that, that is sort of the intangible that we were able to create and bring to the table just based on our friendships, and the experience is really my takeaway.
I've got a very specific question for you, Deepika. In terms of sort of doing romance, you've come a long way from, the birds and bees conversations, and where, the romance was sort of portrayed with in gardens and flowers, etc. So from an actor's perspective, how liberating is this new approach? Like, young filmmakers like Shakun can adopt, and I mean, how does that sort of give you a platform to sort of, authentically convey your character, her feelings? Do you feel like that? Is it easier to sort of be more authentic in terms of, especially when it comes to like love and romance on screen?
Sorry, based on the director, you mean?
Yeah, based on younger filmmakers, how the language of romance is changing in our cinema.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I wouldn't attribute it to age, and I wouldn't attribute it to gender. If that's something that's just happening organically, then that's fine. But I'm not going to say, oh, the younger filmmakers have a certain sensibility, or the female directors have a certain sensibility. I would attribute it from person to person and say that 100%. I mean, if a film like Gehraiyaan wasn't in the hands of a director like Shakun, either I would do the film but not be able to submit to it in the way that I have, or if the director insisted that it had to be done a certain way, then I would just sort of probably excuse myself from it. So I think a lot of what we've been able to do in this film is based on the comfort and the trust that I've had in him. If there's intimacy, that it's not to titillate and to sort of excite the audience. It's coming from a very authentic place of what the characters are experiencing, of what the film requires. So if this film was in anyone else's hands, in all probability, I wouldn't do it, or I'd probably push back on certain things.
Fair. Shakun, just sort of taking from what Deepika said, in one of my recent conversations with a film writer, he told me that, never focus on a character having a moral compass. Do you agree to this statement, and what's your method to crafting your character?
One of the things that I actually love doing is start from a place where the character's worldview is very different than mine, and then see if I can be on that journey with the character and try and understand a whole different idea because the character thinks the other way. So I think in that way you open yourself into a newer understanding, and I think that for me has been extremely rewarding. And as liberated I may think I am, when you go on these journeys, you see your own conditioning, you see your own patterns, and it's so freeing to come in realization of those patterns. I think that for me has been extremely rewarding, and I hope I can do that. And I'm not talking about, you don't have to necessarily write characters that are completely the opposite and somebody you would have never met. Somewhere deep inside, that there is a part of you that thinks about this idea of philosophy, and then you give the character an opposite point of view and see where you go with it,
Right. Coming to Siddhant, you were talking about the process. We live in a time right now when film sets have intimacy directors and coordinators. So especially say for a young actor like you, has it become easy for an actor to perform intimate scenes and scenes that are very passionate in front of the camera?
Yes. Yeah. Sure. I mean, I'm thinking about the time when I signed this film, and I got to know about the intimacy part, and I was really panicking. I was very nervous, and I don't know how would I have, I couldn't have done it without, I think, an intimacy coordinator. I was very nervous. I'm very shy. My idea of cinema is a little, I've grown up watching a lot of, rom-coms, and I've been conditioned in that way. So for me to kind of accept and believe in Shakun's vision, it was just submitting myself, and in that process, I mean, yes, without an intimacy coordinator, I don't think this would have been possible. I wouldn't be comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not every day that you see an actor saying, I'm an introvert or I'm shy. So that's certainly me.
Ironically, most actors are very shy.
Yeah.
Right. Right. But I mean, especially the public perception is the exact opposite. Isn't it?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Ananya, coming to you, one of the most sort of standout things about your character in the trailer was, she has to deal with that infidelity, and her reactions are so strong and honest. So, I mean, personally, do you feel that, infidelity is a deal breaker in modern relationships, or are we sort of, evolving as people to sort of deal with the grey shades of relationships as well? What's your personal take on that?
I honestly don't think that it's an issue of today. I feel like it's been something that's existed always in our society. Maybe we're acknowledging it more now, maybe we're talking about it more now, and I think it's a start that we're addressing it this way in cinema with Gehraiyaan. Like, I feel like our film is very different from other films that have dealt with infidelity, because it's not about finding your soulmate after marriage, it's kind of just observing how four people are behaving in such a situation. If I talk personally, I think I say that infidelity is a huge deal breaker for me, but I've been listening to what everyone's been saying today, and I guess it does totally depend on the situation. Maybe if I'm a little older, I might feel differently about it, but I honestly don't think that I've been through enough in life, or I've been through enough experiences for me to change that opinion right now. But I'm constantly evolving, I'm constantly changing. I don't think that even a year back I would have had this much of an open, open understanding of what modern relationships are supposed to be. And I think one needs to do what makes them happy and what's going to help them grow, and it might seem selfish sometimes, but I feel like in the long run it might benefit people, and they might not understand it in that moment, but you might be helping someone when you distance yourself from a situation and you see it from the outside. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. One final question, Shakun. You've made films for theatre. Now you've made a film for OTT. What sort of difference do you? I know there should ideally be no difference, but sort of does the platform allow you or give you leeway to be more bold, to be more experimental, to be more sort of take more creative risks per se?
I think we started out obviously not having any of these ideas. We knew that we were making a film for respecting the maturity of the audience. So whether it was on theatre or OTT, our intent was the same. Now I think, given the scenario today, with obviously safety being a huge concern for going to the theatres, and knowing in the last 2 years so many people have been at home and experienced all kind of stories on OTT platforms, I think the audience is already there. It's really our TG, and it only makes it for a beeline to now go straight to OTT, because I feel extremely happy about it. And I often said this, that I grew up on films that I watched on laptop screens or DVDs and TV, and that's the reason I wanted to be a filmmaker. So I have never considered the big screen to be the reason why one connects with the film. I don't make stories that are event films, so to say. They're not Avengers and big action set pieces. I think you can enjoy emotional dynamics between people as much on a laptop or a TV as you would on a big screen. So, for me, it's a win-win, and the only hope was to be able to put this movie out there in the way we wanted it to be, and for me, that has been made possible, and that's all that matters.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys.